on mass tonight. What's the dealio? I love when it's all too much. 5 a.m. turn the radio up.
What's Red 40?
Roll.
My name is Joey Sanders. I'm from Troy, North Carolina. I have a nice story for the No Clinton era. I used to work in Troy for a metal shop, and Clinton stopped by our little town and was talking to everybody, and he stopped by our old metal band that had been working there for over 20 or 30 years. And he's talking to him, and he said, well, are you going to vote for me on this upcoming election? And the old man said, I don't know. He said, are you an honest man? He said, yes, sir. He said, I'm just as honest as they is wrong. And the old man looked at him and said, well, I'm not voting for you then. He said, I'd like to make a crook out of you. But it was hilarious. And Mr. Clinton really didn't know what to say to that. But it was a touche, you know, because as we all know, he was a slick Willie. Thank you.
Thanks for those calls. One more question for you, and that's about smaller scale politics. Maybe you ran for sheriff or judge or school board, and you won or you lost, but I bet you learned a valuable lesson doing that. If you've got a story, call me and tell me about it. The telephone number, I'll say it twice, 1-888-966-9862, 1-888-966-9862. Coming up tomorrow on the story, Kirsten Arianajad thought she had landed the perfect job. Flight attendant with a regional airline, lots of travel perks and a good hourly wage. But it turned out she was only paid for the time that the doors on the aircraft are closed, so it feels like she's working full-time, getting to the airport, waiting for the flight, all that. The pay was not enough for her to live.
And I had heard, actually, I think it was, I had heard through another flight attendant that somebody had applied for food stamps and was approved. And I said, really? Don't you have to be, not even have an income to, I didn't know anything about food stamps. She's like, no, we make under the poverty level. And I'm like, well, that I believe, but really? So yeah, I mean, I thought, well, hey, why not? Can't get a second job.
Kirsten went to a local TV station to anonymously talk about her dilemma. The airline let her go. The story of an accidental whistleblower tomorrow. I'm Dick Gordon. This is The Story.
The Story is a production of North Carolina Public Radio, WUNC, the broadcast service of the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill.
American Public Media.
Talk of the Nation is next here on WUSF 89.7 Tampa, St. Petersburg, Sarasota, your NPR station. The Free Fall Theater Company presents Jekyll and Hyde, the intensely psychological new adaptation of the classic thriller, on now through November 7th at the studio at 620 in St. Petersburg. Tickets and info are at freefallstudio.com.
On November 2nd, Florida voters will chart a new direction for the state, electing an entirely new state cabinet and a new U.S. senator. Around the country, 37 governor's jobs are on the slate, and Republicans are hoping to take control of at least one half of Congress. We'll have live election results and analysis from NPR and from the WUSF News Team station around the Bay Area. Join us election night beginning at 8, right here on your NPR station.
Stay close for Talk of the Nation, followed by The World at 3 o'clock here on WUSF. It's 2 p.m.
From NPR News in Washington, D.C., I'm Neil Cumden. This is Talk of the Nation. Before arriving in Providence, President Obama declined to endorse anyone for governor of Rhode Island, which infuriated Democrat Frank Caprio.
I never asked for President Obama's endorsement. He could take his endorsement and really shove it as far as I'm concerned.
With less than a week to go, political junkie Ken Rudin's latest scorecard for the House and will focus on toss-up races for the Senate and governor. Plus, will reveal the secret identity of these two voices.
At what time do you really consider that the new age, the mindful age of comics really began? It's probably one of the few questions you'll ask when I'm
second one is comic book legend Stan Lee. He joins us to take your calls. It's the Talk of the Nation.
From NPR News in Washington, I'm Lakshmi Singh. The FBI has arrested a Virginia man suspected of planning multiple bombings at D.C. area subway stops. An announcement today from the Justice Department. For the first time, a sitting U.S. president will be interviewed on The Daily Show. Host Jon Stewart is scheduled to interview President Barack Obama tonight in Washington. And NPR's David Folkenflik has that story.
For a time, GOP presidential hopeful John McCain was a near constant presence on The Daily Show. Democrat John Edwards announced he would run for president there too. But tonight will be new ground. White House Press Secretary Robert Gibbs told reporters that Mr. Obama took to such programs as The View and The Daily Show to connect with potential Democratic voters.
The president hasn't been shy about going to the places where people are getting their information and trying to make his case.
Stewart and his Comedy Central partner Stephen Colbert are staging a rally on Saturday on the Washington Mall, inspired in part by the earlier rally of one of their longtime targets, Fox News host Glenn Beck. David Folkenflik, NPR News.
Argentina is mourning the death of one of its most powerful politicians, former President Nestor Kirchner. The husband of the current leader, Cristina Fernandez, died today of an apparent heart attack. He was 60 years old. The BBC's Julian Migliarini says Kirchner's death took many by surprise.
The news of Mr. Kirchner's death comes as a shock for Argentinians are likely to shake the political environment there, despite the fact that he had been hospitalized 3 times in the last year and that there were concerns about his health. No one would expect that the situation was as serious as to reach this point.
The BBC's Julian Migliarini reporting. Osama bin Laden has purportedly threatened to kill the French for their country's support of the U.S.-led war in Afghanistan, and a new law that will ban face-covering Muslim veils. Dale Gavlak says the new audio tape of the al-Qaeda leader surfaced on the Arabic Al Jazeera website.
Bin Laden says the French will be killed and captured as long as their government aids the U.S.-led war in Afghanistan and prevents Muslim women in France from wearing face-covering veils. He says the French have no right to live in peace when their government takes such actions. Although the authenticity of the tape could not be immediately verified, experts say the voice